Hi again, my new game, Goblins against Wood, is almost out. I thought I would do a development overview of the game. I've been wanting to make a game inspired by curiosity, what's inside the cube. Basically, you just tap to remove voxels from a huge cube with other players. The only thing pushing the player is curiosity. I wanted the same sort of drive to be the reason behind playing my new game. With the inspiration, I had an itch to make a game about chopping down a huge tree. It's a pretty basic idea, but I really felt I had to scratch that itch with a mini project. After a few months of development, it's almost ready. There are so many examples of tree chopping systems in games. The most basic method being removing chunks of a pre-broken model. The Forest and Rust have my favorite tree chopping visuals. I'm pretty sure the Forest works in a different way, especially the Sons of the Forest, which has some of the best tree chopping across all games. My goal with Goblins Against Wood was to have a more accurate chop system where chunks of the tree would be removed with each swing of an axe, similar to a Boolean subtract in Blender or Maya. There are a few options for the method I would eventually choose. One would be marching cubes, another real-time sculpting tools, and my final option was dual contouring. In the end, I chose marching cubes because it was the one I felt would work best for my concept. Sebastian Lag goes into great detail about marching cubes in multiple videos, and I'll leave them in the comments. They really assisted in allowing me to understand the basic concepts for marching cubes. It took a long time to get working efficiently. In its current state, chunks of a reference mesh are generated at runtime. As soon as the game launches, the voxel chunks will start and hopefully finish generating before players join or host a session. And these are all the iterations I made of the Marching Cubes mesh system. And you might notice the frame rate varies a lot during the earlier clips when I didn't have an optimized method of regenerating the mesh collider. The prototype needed some sort of game loop, so I added a shop where you can upgrade the size and speed of the axe chopping. Treasure can be found inside the tree, so as you chop more and more, said treasure can be picked up and carried to the merchant to be sold. So I had a simple game loop and the core mechanic was there. I needed to work on the character design and general level layout and art. It gave me a good break from programming and prototyping. In my previous project, which I never finished and used Spelunky assets as placeholder, I wanted the main character to be a goblin. At first, the idea was short lumberjacks with customizable beards. Unfortunately, I was struggling to model the face, so I chose instead to go with goblins. This way I could kind of hide the mouth, which is the main cause of this change. I don't really know why I made that decision now, but you can see the character progression in Maya. Each iteration got shorter, stockier, and a bit more goblin-like. It went through a couple styles. I was playing Fly Knight at the time and really wanted to incorporate the old school RuneScape art style into the game, but I later decided to go back to the stylized low poly look. I rigged the mesh and started animating, and usually I'd test the mesh using mix mode just to see how the character would look with finished animations. I've always animated my characters in Unity. I've never learnt to properly animate in Blender or Maya, so perhaps in the next project I'll learn to properly animate in those softwares. Anyway, the goblin uses a blend tree for movement and 2 animator layers to separate the upper and lower body. This is really important because it allows me to control the animations for the arms separately. If I want to attack while moving in any direction, the corresponding animations need to play simultaneously. It does make tracking animations fairly easy, as in the walking animation, the only thing that needs to animate are the legs. The arms would be playing the holding axe idle animation, or the swinging axe animation, or even the holding treasure animation, and so on. I'm still editing some of the animations at this stage, and that's the advantage of animating in Engine. It means I don't need to re-import anything. Animations just change when I change them. At one moment in development, I knew there needed to be some sort of obstacle that annoys the player, and that comes in the form of worms that live in the tree and escape when you chop certain areas of the tree. Next was the level design. The main tree went through a few iterations, but I landed at this design, which uses the same foliage as the surrounding unchoppable trees. Also, I saw this image and wanted a similar atmosphere in the level. The overall goal was to create an area where players could relax and be immersed in while chopping at this massive tree. This is the first time I've properly used the Unity terrain. The texture painting is pretty satisfying, and I used a mix of set and smooth height to create a somewhat realistic terrain. Another thing added was additional axe and hat cosmetics, which can be selected when sat at the campfire. A good place to just stop the mission and think about what you're doing. All that's left is a few bug fixes and multiplayer glitches I've encountered throughout playtesting. I'm still working on the game trailer and it should be out this week or next. we'll see. Let me know in the comments if you have any feedback on what I've shown, and please go wishlist the game on Steam. It really helps me out. Alright, see ya.